Flutterpage is an insane support, capable of providing over 100% damage bonus to allies' follow-up attacks, while also making sure those follow-up attacks to always crit. On top of that, she's the first character in the game who can give the team an extra action point thanks to her skill too. Yes, her damage buff only works on follow-up attacks, but that's not much of an issue. Right now, follow-up attacks are everywhere, with many of the top DPS characters rely on them as their main damage source. And with Andronala, even ultimate can be turned into a follow-up attack, letting them taking full advantage of Flutterpage's buffs. For this guide, let's start with the simplest part of her kit, her skill 2. Flutterpage's skill 2 is the first ability in the game that lets a character increase the team's action point. When she uses it, she gains continuous action 1 for 1 turn. These buffs give the team an extra action on the next turn, letting them squeeze in more damage or cycle through their rotation faster. Since continuous action is a regular buff, any effect that extends the buff duration, like Liang Yue's ultimate, will also extend its duration. Now, an extra action point is great and all, but it's not what makes Flutterpage completely busted. What really sets her apart is her unique stacking mechanic, Gust. Flutterpage gains a stack of Gust every time anyone on the team takes an action. Additionally, her skill 1 adds 2 extra stacks, and with the stack for using the skill itself, she actually gets 3 stacks in total for casting her skill 1, and she also starts the fight with 10 stacks. Just think those stacks as they come from turn active 1 and allows you to reach the milestone on turn 3. So how does this Gust help? Well, through her special force field. Flutterpage has 3 different types of force field, and to keep things simple, we're just gonna call them level 1, level 2, and level 3 force field. At the start of each turn, the force field activates at the level based on her total Gust stack from the last 3 turns. Level 1 kicks in at 5 stacks, level 2 at 15, and level 3 at 25. At level 1, she adds an unhit effect to all attacks, dealing actual reality damage. If the attack is a follow-up, she consumes 2 Eureka to double the damage of the unhit effect. This unhit effect is based on Flutterpage stats and not the actual attackers. At level 2, she applies a 2% follow-up damage bonus per Gust stack to the entire team, which also applies to Genesis damage, making her amazing for 37. Most teams will maintain 40 to 60% extra damage from this, but in teams like J, Babel, and 37, you can sometimes hit the 50 stack cap for the 100% damage bonus. At level 3, all the follow-up attack are now guaranteed to crit. She will also apply even more damage bonus based on the crit rate and crit damage of the characters. This usually adds 50% more damage bonus, but crit heavy units like Lydia or Julianzi can get even more. Though do keep in mind that the crit damage gained from excessive crit rate and also from debuffs are not applied to this. Since you need 25 stack of Gust within the past 3 turns, that average out to around 8 actions per turn. At first, this might sound like a lot since it's double what a 4-man team usually do per turn, but it's actually quite easy to achieve because Flutterpage herself contributes heavily to the stacking. First, her skill 2 already gives the team an extra action point, so you really only need 3 extra actions per turn to reach the requirement. On top of that, her skill 1 adds 2 additional Gust stack when used, allowing Flutterpage to generate 4 Gust when needed, while still leaving 3 action points for the team. Things get even easier when she pops her ultimate. It puts her into a special channeling state for 4 turns. While channeling, she fully restores her Eureka when activated and at the start of each turn, and converts all the cards in hand into a special AoE attack before throwing them all out, stacking Gust in the process. After the cards are used at the beginning of the turn, the deck will actually be refilled with more cards, including her own skills, which speed up the deck cycling. Additionally, while her ult is active, you'll still want to maintain the use of her skill 2, so make sure to refresh for it. While channeling, she can't gain Moxie, but when the states end, she gains up to 3 Moxie based on the level of her force field, meaning she can immediately recast her ultimate in the next turn. Additionally, because the attacks she does are also follow-ups, she will consume 2 Eureka per attack, then immediately gains them back, as Flutterpage generates 2 Eureka whenever she takes an action. This is extremely relevant for the Impromptu Incantation team, as this allows Flutterpage to contribute an ungodly amount of Inspire each turn. For Resonance, Flutterpage works best with the full offense. Because of her on-hit effect and ultimate, she actually contributes a solid amount of AoE damage herself. For Psychube, her signature is unmatched in terms of damage output. If you have it, it's the best option, no question. If you don't have her signature, Blasphemy of the Night is her next best pick, as long as you can consistently activate its effect. That said, I've personally been using defensive Psychube and Resonance on support more often now in Reveries, since survivability is a real issue in there. Her key portrait are P1 and P3. P1 increases her continuous actions duration by 1 turn, giving you a free action for other character skills, and her P3 allows her to get access to level 3 follow-up on turn 2 by providing more Gust in combat start, and also increase the damage bonus per stack for Gust from 2% to 2.5%, which is a pretty hefty increase. For teams, Flutterpage fits into almost every follow-up attack comps, with a few exceptions like Lydia, who leans more toward a ultimate-focused playstyle now. She works exceptionally well with the True Limb characters, and this is especially the case for Anjo. Anjo Nala's ultimate converts both her own and her contractor's ultimate into a follow-up attack, which allows 100% of Anjo's attack to benefit from Flutterpage's buffs. Liang Yue is another amazing synergy. She also deals most of her damage with follow-ups, and her ability to extend buff duration helps keep Flutterpage's continuous action effect active longer, making the team rotation much smoother. For other teams, Winsong can use Flutterpage effectively, but stacking Gust take a lot more effort since Winsong moves card instead of attacking. You usually want to cast Winsong's ultimate immediately rather than doing the stacking strategy to prevent Gust from falling off. Jay, Babel, and 37 is another strong option. It's not the most optimal team, but it's the only one that can actually push Flutterpage to 50 stack of Gust, which is insane. And finally, she's a key member of the Impromptu's Incantation team. Even though Impromptu's Incantation don't actually count as follow-up, thereby doesn't benefit from her buffs, Flutterpage still generates tons of inspiration by constantly refreshing Eureka, making her a core part of the team. It's also good to look for supports who can do additional extra actions, which helps with the Gust generation, and supports who can provide crit stats buffs to further push the damage bonus Flutterpage provides. And that pretty much covers everything about Flutterpage. She's easily one of the strongest support in the game right now, elevating the follow-up teams to a new height with her massive damage buffs, guaranteed crits, and extra action points. Now I want to hear from you. Are you pulling for Flutterpage, or are you saving for someone else? And if you're pulling, who are you planning to use her with? Let me know in the comment down below. Also, make sure to join my Discord, as we run weekly giveaway for monthly cards there. As always, this has been SteamBandX. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.